Yo, it's FPL Roo, bringing you the stats, top picks, hot tips, all the league facts. They say Roo rock, that's all the flow. Subscribe, hit the bell, welcome to the show.
We're over. I think I can't hear.
What's going on, everyone? It's FPL Roo here. I'm joined by Matt Day. We're going to preview Game Week 4. How's it going, Matt? How's it going, Matt? I can't hear you now.
Can't hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
welcome, everyone. How's it going? How's it going, Matt?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Sorry, I just unplugged the mic then. I missed the intros. Yeah, great to be back in your pod, mate. It feels like it's been a while. I don't know. Maybe it's my first appearance this season, but yeah, the intro song's quality, mate.
Yeah, I switched it up, but I'm not too sure how people feel about it yet. So I haven't been putting it on every video, but I'll do it for the live stream. Yeah, I just made it with AI. I thought,
mate,
put a spin on it.
Yeah, it's quality, mate. I like it.
Yeah.
No, good to be back on, and yeah, obviously a lot of FPL to talk about. Fourth game week now, and yeah, obviously big Spurs Arsenal game, so I had to come on for this one.
Yes, mate. Big game. How's your season been going so far?
It's been okay, mate. Like I've wildcarded already. I wildcarded in game week 3.
Oh wow!
I did it early because I just got I think I was up watching Chelsea when they were winning 6-2 against Wolves, and I was just watching Parma and that Mideki, and I was like, oh, I need Parma, and I really wanted Salah. I just got all this FOMO of not having Salah, not having Parma, and yeah, hit the trigger on the wild card. And look, I'm happy I did it in terms of all the price rises I've got, because I've gained about 0.7 or 0.8 in team value, and I think that's going to be good later on in the season when it's that second wild card comes around. But there's probably 1 or 2 players I lost on my previous team I'm a little bit gutted about losing, like Eze, and maybe kind of going a bit too hard in 1 or 2 other positions. But season's been okay. I dropped some points in game week 2 when I left Smith Rowe on the bench. That was poor when he got that 10-point haul. And then I left João Pedro on the bench in the last game week, but I kind of always planned that. And I didn't captain Haaland in the last game week. I went Parma. So if I'd captain Haaland and then not bench Smith Rowe in game week 2, I would have had an extra sort of 19 points. So my rank would have been, and it would have been in the sort of top 150 to 200k. So that's FPL, mate. There's those, I could say all these things I did and didn't do, but they're the decisions I made. So at the moment, I'd say it's a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 start, because it's not bad, but it could have been a little bit better.
Yeah. Do you feel set up with your wildcard now? Oh.
I kind of do, mate. I think having Salah, having Haaland, I've had Trent since the start, who I think's going to just get better.
Yeah.
I've got Martinez from Villa, who I bring in on the wild card. He's someone I was just like, did I really need to put him in for 5 million? I guess time will tell during this run. Rodgers was another one. I feel like I might have been conned a little bit by him. He looks good. He looks a quality player, but I'm just not sure if he's an FPL player. And I kept Muniz, and I'm just like, not. I was just thinking like a little bit of me was, and I went with Palmer because of that FOMO of his crazy 17-point haul. And I just thought this guy's got the potential to get some massive points. And I was like, now looking back on it, it's easy to say, but probably could have just kept Eze and then had a better fourth defender. But then you never know. If Palmer's fit to play this weekend, he pretty much scores or assists in nearly every game he plays. So
yeah, and he's on
I'd say, kind of set up, mate. I'd probably say I'm pretty happy. Like I could leave my team this weekend, roll a transfer, and I'm probably only missing out from wildcarders that are all wildcarding now. Probably only missing out on having maybe a second Liverpool defender. I won't have Eze, and I won't have a double up on like Brighton, but I'm pretty happy with just João Pedro. So yeah, I went Semenyo on my wild card who scored, and I think he's a good pick. I think he's a decent pick. So
yeah,
it's okay.
He's done well this season. He's done well. He potentially could even be on pens now. Solanke's gone as well. I don't know who could be on pens, but
that would be nice.
Got excited there.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Well, like when he scored against Everton, I was like buzzing. He only got 6 points, but it was like, one of those cheap picks that gets you a goal. And then they scored a couple more after, and a bit of me was like, imagine if he'd scored a second or got an assist. I think he'd be in a lot more people's teams. And now this game week, he's got Chelsea at home, who've been letting goals in. They didn't look that good in the Palace game at home. They let 2 in away at Wolves. Bournemouth, a decent side. Like, if he grabs another goal in that, people that own him like me can then probably bench him for Liverpool away the week after, and then you're getting like Leicester, Southampton at home out of him. That's why I kind of bought him. So if I can get a return out of him this week, bench him in the game week after, and then get a couple more returns out of him, he can end up being a bargain buy. But
you can't really go wrong, can you? 5.5 million. But we'll get on to your team a bit later on. We have a look at maybe some transfers you're going to be doing. And yeah, for me, my season's been all right, to be honest. Just pretty average. I'd say I had a good week last week. I've had Haaland and Salah the whole way, which has been good. Don't get me wrong, it's been good, and there hasn't been that many clean sheets. So I think I've kind of got away with it because my defense is pretty cheap. So I kind of got away with that. But my players that I've had to bring in because I've got Haaland and Salah haven't really delivered. Like I've had to play Rodgers a couple of times. I've had Nkunku, who hasn't done anything. Obviously, he's been benched the last 2 games, but Muniz didn't do anything. So yeah, if a couple of them did well as as Haaland and Salah, then I'd be flying. But because they haven't really delivered, then yeah, it hasn't been amazing, but it's been pretty good. Still got my wild card. Hopefully use it in game week 6. But yeah, I've been hearing some international injuries potentially for my team. So Konza came off. I got Konza, and I have to start Konza as well because I got Pinnock on the bench. I don't really know why I brought him in, to be honest.
Pinnock, that was a game week 3 move,
yeah, just for 1 game week really. I should have brought someone else, but I just went for him, and I can't play him this week. He's got City away, so. But yeah, we'll get onto our teams a bit later on. We'll go through some of the fixtures, and then just maybe we'll say a player that you reckon will be half decent to bring in, or you think will do well this game week. And if you're watching, leave your questions in. We'll be answering some of your questions, your team dilemmas. Like the video as well if you're watching. And yeah, cool. We'll get on to it. So Southampton v Manchester United. So not the best start to the season for United.
Never is.
No, never is. Yeah, I guess they did better than Ten Hag's first game. Didn't they lose? Was it 3-0 or 4-0 to Brentford, I think it was. But yeah, shocking start to the season really for them. And surely they can't do any worse against Southampton. Southampton look as bad or even worse probably. But who are your picks for this game?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you find with United that they're just one of those teams that if they can be got at away from home, and you just feel like a promoted team like Southampton, they haven't won a game yet. Don't even know if Southampton have picked up a point yet. So it's like they're going to need, they're going to want to do something in this game. But I do think United will win by. They'll scrap a 2-1, I think. And in terms of picks, there's no one from Southampton that's really standing out for me. Ramsdale, it's Ramsdale they've signed, isn't it, in goal now?
Yeah.
He is someone that, like, if Southampton do at some stage pick up some form and they sort of tighten it up at the back, he is someone I'd consider as a $4.5 million pick because there's not many good goalies at $4.5 million. And he has shown, I know he was at Arsenal, but he's shown how many save points he can get. And he's quite good when it comes to bonus points. So I'm going to, sort of, I guess, watch him in this game and see how he goes. Other than that, for Southampton, maybe see how someone like Adam Armstrong looks, but there's no one else really on my radar for them. I'm not that interested in them at the moment until maybe they're, when their fixtures come good or they start winning some games. Man United, again, it's tough. Is it Garnacho?
Yeah.
He's someone I like as a player, but now he's $6.5 million in FPL. I just think there's too many other picks at $6 million, $5.5 million that at the moment probably are a little bit better. But I'm probably going to keep my eyes on him. I've lost interest in Bruno Fernandes right now. I think there's too many good players. It's mad that he's only $8.5 million. When you think about how good he was in FPL a few years ago. So yeah, that's probably it, mate. With United, I'm not interested in Onana. I'm not interested in maybe that left back that they signed that's had a couple of points so far. The one that comes from Bayern. Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I'm gonna need to see a good couple of. I need to see a run of wins or decent results for United to even want their players right now because you don't want to end up with someone and they just do nothing for a couple of games and you kind of just stuck with them. So yeah, I think United will win, but that's probably all I'm thinking FPL wise. Just those sort of guys.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I think surely they can't lose this game. I think they'll win as well. I reckon 2-0. But I actually don't mind Fernandes as a pick, to be honest. I think he hasn't done anything this season at all. But he's always going to be on pens. He's going to play most of the minutes. If not, it doesn't really get subbed, does he? Doesn't really get injured. Their fixtures are decent. I know it's 2 away games. They've got Southampton and Palace, but I think they've got to start picking up results. And he's out 8.4 million as well, so he's dropped in price a little bit. I wouldn't be bringing him in, don't get me wrong, but if you have him, I'd probably be keeping him. And I don't mind Mazawari, 4.5 million. Luke Shaw's probably going to be out for a little more and probably going to get injured again anyway. So, I don't mind him as a pick at 4.5 million because even though how bad United are, I feel like they do keep a few clean sheets. I had
it's true.
Onana last season and he was terrible. And then he had 4 or 5 good fixtures in a row and I kept him and then he kept three clean sheets out of them and he done well for me. So I think Man United, I'd obviously hold if you had their players, but yeah, I don't think I'd be rushing to bring any of them in unless you really needed a defender to go for, and maybe Mazawari could be the one.
I agree. If Onana was 4.5 million, I think maybe I'd be feeling a bit different and thinking, just set and forget. But yeah, you're right about Fernandes. He is someone that if he can stay in that position where he's really high up the field, it's when he starts dropping deep and sits in the midfield. If he stays just behind the forward and he's really high up, because that's what he was doing a few years ago, and they relied on his goals. And obviously, we're getting a lot of pens as well, but he was always in the box. So yeah, if he can pick up a goal this weekend and show some more promise in the game the week after, then things change so quickly in FPL. So
yeah, no, exactly, and they have to pick up a win. They have to put a performance in as well. I think Garnacho's probably a little bit too risky considering he hasn't he hasn't. I don't think he started this season, has he? I'm not sure why, but he's looked good when he's come on. But yeah, I don't mind the other options. Next up, you've got Brighton Ipswich. So a lot of people this week would be bringing in Brighton players. I'm probably looking to bring in a Brighton player. I think you've just wildcarded, right? So you probably own a few Brighton players. Is there anyone? Yeah. Okay. Who's that?
Yeah, got one. So I started the season with Minter.
Okay, nice.
Minter, and I was really impressed. And then when I wildcarded, it was between him and Semenyo, and I was like, I'm going to go Semenyo because I feel like longer term, he's going to be someone I want to just keep there as a 5.5 mil option. And I thought you can't really pick anyone else at Bournemouth that's going to kind of cover his points. Whereas Brighton, I feel like João Pedro. I brought João Pedro in, and he did score, but then I benched him when he scored last week, which was annoying. So I got João Pedro for this game, and I think he's a good pick this season. He looks like he's in favour. He's on pens. And yeah, he's looking sharp. He's looking really sharp.
No, he's looking really good, and especially at that price, like you can't really complain if he scores 1 in 3 or gets 2 returns in 3 games, then that's all you need, really. That's great. But no, I really do like Brighton. I'm trying to get as many players as I can over this game week really for Brighton. I don't own any Brighton players, so yeah, it's not the best. And I only own 1 Liverpool player, and that's another team I really want to target. So ideally, I'd like to get, obviously, at least 1 Brighton player in this week, potentially even a -4 if I have to be able to get 2, 1 Brighton, 1 Liverpool player, extra player. But at the minute, yeah, I'm hoping to get João Pedro. Probably going to have to take out Muniz, to be honest, but it's not
What
ideal.
about Danny Welbeck? He's the one banging the goals in as well.
I know, but it feels weird. It feels weird bringing in Danny Welbeck. He's doing so well. And to be fair, if I'm wildcarding in game week 6, it's not a big deal, is it? If I bring him in, but I don't know. I think I prefer Pedro. He's on pens, but I don't know if it's going to fit my structure. To be honest with you, because I'd have to take out Muniz, who hasn't done anything this season, but it's a home game. I know West Ham made some good signings as well, but it's still a home game for Fulham, and it just doesn't feel right taking him out. Whereas with one of the midfielders, Matoma, Minter, I've got space, to be honest. I've got Nkunku rotting on the bench. I've got Rodgers.
Oh, Matoma's a great pick, mate. If you need Nkunku out, then if you can get Matoma in, I think he's price rise. But if you've got the money, he's sort of the main guy. He's almost like the son of Brighton in terms of like he's like their main pick. Yeah, Matoma. Minter's a nice little pick though. If you want to try something different.
For me, I think João Pedro would be number 1 for people looking to bring him in, and then Matoma, and then Minter. I don't know. I'm just not sure on Danny Welbeck. I think he's too. I think he's too much of a team player. If that makes sense. I feel like he'll run the channels. He'll work hard. Is he going to be clinical enough, or I guess not pass if it's like an open goal and someone else is there or something like that? I'm just not sure. But I do think bring in the Brighton players if you can. Next up, we've got another good home game for the home team. So Palace-Leicester. Palace haven't really had a good start to the season, to be honest. As they did deliver last week, though, at Chelsea, a good point for them. But Palace, in general, haven't done that well to start the season. So they lost to Brentford away, drew against West Ham at home. Lost to West Ham at home and then drew to Chelsea away. But Leicester at home, you've got to fancy them to win their first game of the season.
Yeah, I think so. Like, obviously, they've got a good coach, and they did well last season when the manager come in and got some good results. They've signed some good players as well. Obviously Eze is going to be the main pick for. I think now we got that goal, a lot of people feel like he's crucial now. I think managers, especially on wild cards, are Eze is an absolute must. And to be fair, at that price, it's kind of like I sold him on wild card, and it's one of them. I'm like, yeah, he's a very good pick for this week because I think Palace will score a couple. I'm feeling like this could be a 2-1, maybe a Vardy goal for Leicester or something, and then Palace scoring late on and Eze being involved in both goals. I've got a feeling he'll get a good score, and yeah, he's one I'm kind of gutted about not having, but at the same time, like I made that decision. I think I looked at it with him and thought, after this fixture, the United one, he's capable in that as well. And then he had like Everton, but then the fixtures were a little bit tougher at times. I just thought, yeah, he's someone I can always bring back. He seems to be, every time I've watched Palace over the season in the 3 games, his goal was brilliant last game week.
Brilliant, yeah.
That free kick in the first game, which should have been allowed, and then he did hit the bar against West Ham. So like he would come close. It kind of didn't really make sense that I sold him, but yeah, mate, I think he's going to be the main one this week, and he's probably, and someone like Mateta, I think for this game week could be his sort of week to kind of come back on the FPL radar. So they're probably 2, and that Munoz, who gets really far forward, the fullback, the wing back.
Yeah.
They're probably my main ones from this one. Leicester probably be on Vardy watch, just at that price point, thinking like, is he securing sort of 70, 80 minutes a game, and then is he just worth having as a third forward pick if he can sort of score in these games? But other than that, from Leicester, not really too much I'm kind of looking at from them. I don't think this season. The promoted teams, they're not bringing. They're just every season. I know Leicester were Premier League team a couple of years ago, but every season these promoted teams just seem to. It's not that they're worse. It's just the Premier League teams have just got so much stronger, and the gap's got so much bigger that like it's not like those old days. Remember when you could bring in like 4 million asset? I know you still can, but like it's not like when Wan-Bissaka was 4 million a few years ago, and you knew you were going to get big points. So yeah,
or Lundstrom, he was a newly promoted side, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were solid, and Dean Henderson when he was at Sheffield United that year.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, they are just not. I guess you had Doughty that did all right at Luton last year, but he wasn't really going to own him. He wasn't really going to own him, apart from the double game weeks, were you? Like, yeah, for me, do you think Nketiah could be an option? 4.9 million.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah, that's an interesting one. If he makes his debut tomorrow, wouldn't put it past me. This is just typical of FPL. If it's quite a cagey game because Leicester will defend under that Steve Cooper as their coach because they need the points, and wouldn't put it past me if Nketiah either starts a game or comes off the bench and he gets a debut goal. Eze maybe assist, but a lot of people are like, will Nketiah cover Eze, and they'll all be looking to bring him in on the next wild card, and he could be a really good pick. I think at that price, again though, like you never know when players leave teams like big teams or teams like Arsenal where they're used to I'm trying to rephrase it. Teams that win a lot of games, and then they play in that side. They come off the bench for Arsenal. They start the odd game. They look, they can look good in their moments, but then you go to Palace. Sometimes he might play 20 games in a row, and it might be like, this is probably why Arsenal. It's either going to be this is why Arsenal sold him, didn't want to keep him, or it's going to be like, this guy is, he's absolutely brilliant. You just never know when you get a kind of a player like that, but could be an option. It's a good shout.
Yeah, it's true though.
Actually, will he play ahead of Mateta?
I don't think they spent 35 million on him, so it's hard to say that he's not going to play. But they can't drop Mateta, surely.
Unless they go with the 2.
Yeah,
if they go with the 2, that could actually hurt Eze a little bit.
Yeah, because they bought in a decent winger as well. Where was he from? Try and get it up. But he looked pretty good. What was his name? Is it Kamada?
Oh, is this the Japanese guy?
Yeah. So 5.4 million.
Yeah. He's meant to be good.
He's meant to be really, really good. He didn't start game week 2, but he started the other 2 game weeks. Probably a bit early for him, I'd say. But they got some decent options. They've replaced. Well, we don't know yet, but they've done well, I think, with replacing or trying to replace Elise. because he looks decent. But yeah, I don't know if he can really replace it, Elise. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them. We'll bring up a couple comments here. So Q's in the building. Hello, mate. How's it going? Good evening.
Here he is, QC.
And
He loves this player.
yeah.
I think he's from
Leaf
Ipswich.
Davis Hall incoming this weekend, fellas. Yeah, is that the 4 million one, or is he a bit more? I can't remember.
I think he's 4.5. You know what, though?
Okay.
These are the game weeks, right, where everyone sort of wild cards. And Brighton are obviously a good side, new coach. They've had a couple of good results. But these are the sort of games you get in the Premier League where an Ipswich comes in and they find a way to get their first result of the season. It could be a 1-1, or they grind out a draw and they get a draw, and the Brighton player that scores is the one that no one picks. And then, someone like Davies does score or gets an assist. So you just never know, like in these types of fixtures. But
and do you they've had a tough start, to be honest.
Ipswich.
They had Liverpool, then City.
And they scored in the City game.
Yeah. No, they have. It's imagine that though, like Liverpool at home, City away, and they've got a draw against Fulham, so they've done well when they
did.
when they've not played the top teams. So
that Greaves looks good. The centre backs look really solid. That's where I think, like with Ipswich, they kept Liverpool at bay for about an hour, and then they kind of fell apart. But Man United were 2-0 down to Liverpool in like 20 minutes in comparison.
Yeah.
And then they were pretty good against Fulham. They did let a goal in the end, but then City, there was obviously goals conceded, but any team in the league could probably concede 4 or 5 to City. So,
yeah, that's true. Q saying he's Trent from Wish. Yeah, fair enough. So Davies looked good in patches the first and second weeks, but the last game he got to shine and got 2 bonus and assists after conceding. Wow. Yeah. No, he
got loads of goals and assists assists in the Championship.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how Ipswich do, because if they got a decent little run in, it could be a potential player to bring in. But 4.5 million, I just think you can get defenders from better teams, whether they're as attacking. That's another question. So we'll move on to Liverpool Forest. Good start to the season for Liverpool. 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. They've gone to Old Trafford as well. How many? I know you told me earlier, but how many Liverpool players do you own and will you own by the deadline?
So I've got 2 right now. I've got Salah, because I brought him in on wildcard, and I have Trent, who he's an absolute season keeper. I think like the way Liverpool playing, and they're giving him some early subs, which is actually quite nice because you're locking in that clean sheet. And he's getting closer and closer to an assist or a goal. Like, Jota's missed 2 absolute sitters now from Trent crosses. So he's getting close to that haul. So I'm on 2 at the moment. If I was going to go a third, it's really going to be based on I'm waiting for any late injury news in other positions. And if nothing comes in, if everyone else is fully fit in my team, then I might even do, albeit I think selling Gabriel, we'll get to it later on, but I think selling Gabriel ahead of the game against us is actually a bad idea because of how good they are from set pieces and how bad we are. But I'm looking at it as like Robertson in for Gabriel's probably not a bad little placeholder for a couple of weeks. Save 2 next game week, and then I can do a, I can bring an Arsenal defender in for their kind of nicer run, because I feel like the Arsenal defenders are more important than the attackers because they're way more consistent, and I think there's a lot of good attackers at all different price points this season. So yeah, Liverpool, I'm definitely going to be on 2, potentially 3, but it just depends if I've got injuries elsewhere. Like if there is an injury to Palmer or one of these late international setbacks that come in, and then you have to change your moves and stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I would like Luis Diaz, but I don't. I've got Palmer now in midfield, so it's not a swap I would do. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, nice. I'm not. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of the double Liverpool defense. I know they've started well. I just don't know if Robertson is attacking enough to warrant bringing him in. To be honest with you,
He's
and
expensive.
6 million is a lot of money. Like 6 million is a lot of money. If Van Dijk, I don't know. I just think it's too much money when Salah and Haaland are firing. Palmer's doing well. That you've got players, expensive players doing well. I just don't know spending that much, because really you're spending 12 million, whether you get at least 12 million, whether that's Van Dijk and Robertson or Robertson and Trent is even more, 13 million.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of money to spend, but like 3 clean sheets in a row. Can you argue with that? I don't know if you can argue with that.
You're right. It is a lot. That's one thing I am a bit worried about, is having too much money in defence. But at the same, like for me, it'd be like for like with the 6 mil of Gabriel and 6 mil of Robertson, unless he goes up in the next day. But Van Dijk is someone that is also on my radar, because he's one of them. Like in these home games, like Forest, and then he's got Bournemouth next. Then he's got Wolves. He's just sort of, you can just imagine him just jumping up, knocking one in off his head, get one of those big scores, because he only gets a few goals a season. It's normally in these types of fixtures. But now I know what you mean. Trent, if you had to make a pick and it was the whole Trent Robertson debate, you pay the extra million for Trent, and then you find someone else instead of Robertson. I don't think he's vital. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, cool. So everyone watching, please like the stream. Let's try and get it up a little bit more. And we've got Q here with a question. So do you think we could see Salah points slow down in these next few fixtures with Jota/Diaz getting the points? I don't think he's going to slow down, to be honest with you, because I think he's nailed. I think Jota and Diaz can be rotated with Darwin and Gakpo. And obviously Champions League starting now, and they've got to play, 8 games these days?
Tough games. You've got Real Madrid first.
Yeah. Wow. That's what I mean. So, I think Jota and Diaz have to get rotated unless Darwin and Gakpo are going to be playing in the Champions League. But what do you think, Matt? Do you think Jota and Diaz can cover Salah?
I think
maybe not cover.
Yeah, I think I like the Salah Diaz combo if you're going to go 2 Liverpool midfielders, because Diaz is 7.5. He's probably gone up in the last week. I'm not sure, but there's lots of other similar price point players, and I feel like that's a good combo. I don't think he's going to slow down in these next 2, because he's got Forest home, Bournemouth home, so 2 games at Anfield, which he loves. Then he's got Wolves away. That could be a tricky one if it's an earlier kickoff and they have the Real Madrid game that week before or after. Especially if it's before, that's where it could be trickier, because the recovery time's less. He's older now. We did see at times last season that he doesn't probably recover as well as he did before. So it could get tricky then. But I think this next 2 being home games, like he won't slow. I think he will score in both. And these are the games you want Salah. And I'd say Salah Diaz right now. I feel like Darwin's ready to come in, or Gakpo or Darwin are both ready to come in for Jota if he doesn't. I know he scored in the first game and he's looked quite good, but he's missed a lot of big chances as well. And I feel like they're ready, waiting to get some minutes. So
yeah, I think it's too risky. I think I do. To be fair, I do like Diaz, but any longer than 2 weeks, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I trust him. We'll go on to the Fulham West Ham game. So a lot of talk about West Ham's transfers in the summer. So they did some really, really good business. They got Wan-Bissaka in. They got Füllkrug, the German substitute striker, that did pretty well at the Euros. They've got Kilman as well. It was good for signing from Wolves. So they've kind of made the defence a little bit more solid, and got a decent striker. And also got Somerville as well from Leeds, who did well in the Prem. Fulham have done, I guess, okay this season. I really do like Fulham as a team. I think they play half decent football. They've got some decent players. They made some big signings as well this season. Emil Smith-Rowe, probably their biggest one. It's going to be a tight game. What do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with Fulham. I think they got a good manager. He's done well there, and it's been the first time for a while that Marco Silva's actually stayed at a club. for a little bit longer because he's kind of been bounced around lately. And I think he's a good coach. Smith Rowe's decent pick. Again, for 5.5 million, you can't really complain if he gets like one goal every 5 games because he's 5.5. And he did nearly score in the game against Ipswich at home the other week. He was in and around the box so much. And I think this is the type of game, if Fulham are going to win, they're going to need 2 goals. They're not going to win this one 1-0, I don't think. And this is where you can imagine maybe a Mooney's getting his kind of winner and taking his frustrations out because he's missed so many chances this season and he's come so close. So I do think you stick with your Fulham players, your Robinson, your Mooney's and your Smith Rowe for this home game. And it's kind of a wait and see. I don't think Fulham triple up sustainable all season though, but I think you can give it another week. Then West Ham, I thought they were so unlucky against City not to score again. Like Bowen was unbelievable. Bowen, I think he hit the bar. Jarrod Bowen, he got an assist. He is someone, if you're on a wild card or you're on a wild card like you are in Game Week 6, he's well worth keeping an eye out on. He's got like Ipswich in Game Week 6 or 7 at home. Really good fixtures. Still playing in a front 3. I can't believe people aren't even considering him when he's only 7.5 mil. He's returned in 2 out of 3, and he was really good in that City game. But he smacked one off the bar, and West Ham were good. They had chances. Defensively, they were probably a little bit too high up the pitch, but they're playing City. Like they would have beat a lot of other teams in the league that day. They were unlucky, and I think they'll be good as time goes on. But it might take them a while because they do have a lot of new players. But yeah, I think this game, I'm going to go with it's going to be a 2-1 or 2-2, I think. And I think we'll see goals. I would love a Mooney's return. A Mooney's double would be nice with a Robinson getting a couple of assists. Smith Rowe maybe as well, but definitely need something from Mooney's.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Any of them things would be nice. Mooney's or Robertson. I think it's going to be a tight game. I can just see a 2-2 draw in this one. And Bowen's an interesting one because I feel like he's been so consistent, like the last, 3 seasons? Definitely last season and probably 21-22. He's been so consistent, 12 goals, 17 assists in 21-22. And then last season, he got 16 goals, 6 assists. And West Ham had such a bad year last season. So I feel like he goes under the radar a little bit. And he's so consistent. Whenever I've owned him, okay, he hasn't scored every game week, but he's going to score like once every 2 to 3 game weeks. He's going to get a goal and he's going to pick up assists as well. So, yeah, that is a great shout. But yeah, I think this one's going to be a draw. I think hopefully I'd rather probably Fulham win because I've got a couple of Fulham players and don't love West Ham, but but yeah, I think this one's going to be a draw. But I think Fulham are going to have a good year, to be honest. They play really good football. They've bought some decent players, so I think this will be a big test to see if they actually can do well this season because they lost to Man United, they beat Leicester, and then they drew with Ipswich. So I mean, this is a big test to see if Fulham are going to be pushing for Conference League or whether they're just going to be mid-table. Even mid-table is good for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got City Brentford. So you didn't learn from your mistake last season, Matt. You kind of did. You owned Haaland, but you didn't captain him. Last season you didn't own him, so next season, captain and own.
Mate. No. So the last season, it was the season before that he destroyed me. His first season in the league. That was when he killed me. Even though I had him on the first day of that season. Anyway, this one, had him ready last weekend, and I was thinking, I trusted West Ham to kind of. I sort of looked at it thinking Haaland will get at least 2 goals, and I was fine with that. I was absolutely fine with 2 goals because had a feeling Palmer would come out of the Palace game with a goal and an assist, and they'd kind of cancel each other out. But I was also thinking, well, this be a 2-1 to City, and then maybe Haaland just gets 1 goal because he doesn't usually do as well away from home as at home. But yeah, obviously got 3. Palmer the day after only got an assist, got a booking right at the end, and he did nearly score in the first half. He was close with a free kick, so it nearly come off. But yeah, cost me about 11 points, which it's not the end of the world, but it still would have, still a nice little boost in like mini leagues and that type of stuff. So it's a shame, but I own him. I'm not one of those that don't own him, so I'm happy. Captain this weekend. I know Salah's on fire, but happy to just stick with Haaland. I think Brentford kind of in one of those. They're one of those teams in the season where they'll win enough games to survive. They're solid enough in the games and the teams around them. But I think these teams, when they play teams like City, like although they'll probably park the bus and set everyone behind the ball, like City know what to do against these types of teams. Like they've been there and done it a million times. So yeah, Haaland captain this week. Haaland in my team. Would like Rico Lewis as well. Someone like him, if we think he's going to start, because the only reason I don't have someone like Rico Lewis is, the day that they decide, okay, well, he's going to play in the Champions League, and now Walker's going to come back in. Gvardiol was someone that this could maybe be sort of a fixture. He comes back and gets some points again, but I think he's a bit of a fraud. He just ended the season so well, and it was just a little bit out of nowhere. It wasn't like. It didn't feel like that's why they signed Gvardiol, was to be this flying left winger type of defender, whatever he was. And this year, I think it's just a bit of a reality check that he's Gvardiol, like solid, good footballer, good defender, but he's not like what Trent is in terms of his attacking prowess. But I feel like if you're a Gvardiol owner right now, this may be the one fixture you might just keep him for a week before selling. But other than that, like, be interesting to see if Foden gets some minutes if he's all right to play, because I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks, because he's not been involved yet, and that's probably where I'm at with City. And then Brentford, Mbeumo, great pick. Gutted I didn't bring him in last week, and he's someone to keep your eyes out in the next few matches anyway, and maybe Visser, and then that's probably it for this game. I still think City will win 4. I'm going to go 4-0.
Wow. Okay.
Or 3-0.
Yeah, that's big. They're so good at home, though, aren't they? Like you're pretty much guarantee they're going to win if they're playing at home, no matter who it's against. I think it's interesting this season because I think we're not really used to City starting the season well. I think we're used to, I feel like we played them a couple of times on the first game of the season. We beat them under Nuno as well. But yeah, they started the season. They look good, to be honest. De Bruyne looks very good. Foden hasn't even come in the team yet. Lewis looks good. Haaland scored 7 goals already. Ridiculous. So yeah, it's an interesting one, having only one City player in my team, but there's just no one else I trust, to be honest with you. No one. I can't even pick you a defender, really. I don't really want to pay that much for Gvardiol. Okay, De Bruyne, but am I really going to pay that much for De Bruyne? I'm probably not. So yeah, I do like Rico Lewis, but again, it's not. I don't trust Pep. So it's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to just stick with Haaland and see what happens. Maybe if there's a few injuries, we can bring in a second City option. But yeah, I reckon 2-0 this one. I think Brentford are going to do well after this game. They've got some decent games after this one. I think they've got Spurs after that, or
we've got them at home. Yeah, so we've got that Gameweek 5. So a couple of tricky games for Brentford potentially. I'm having a quick look now. De Bruyne. So yeah, first game away at Chelsea, 3 points. Ipswich home, 12 points, and then away 1 point. So this could be the sort of game. 9.6. He's like, you could probably do a De Bruyne Haaland double up this game week, and it's just one of those games, he's going to fly out and get points. And then Arsenal at home next, a fixture De Bruyne loves. Newcastle away, a fixture De Bruyne loves. And then he's City go Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Brighton. This is probably the one time I feel like if De Bruyne is going to keep his consistent minutes, it could be a nice little double up. That's probably the only other City. I know he's a lot of money and there's other players, but he did look good. He does look good. Like he's always looks good, but he just looks like he's kind of got that fire back where he might grab a few more goals. It's Pep's last season, apparently, isn't it? So
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see what happens there because it could just be because Foden's out that he's maybe playing a little bit further
true.
forward. But at that price point, he's De Bruyne for what 9.5 is he? So it can't
9.6,
again,
yeah.
it's very very good. So and then in Burmo, I like for maybe game week 6 onwards. Hopefully, I'll play my wild card then and I can bring in potentially 2 Brentford players. But we'll move on to Villa Everton. So kind of well, maybe not anymore, but the battle of the rest, I guess, the 7th place battle. But Everton have had a terrible start to the season. They can't stop conceding, which is unlike them. They've kept a lot of clean sheets last season and they've been solid under Sean Dyche, but they started the season really, really poorly. Obviously, they conceded 3 against Brighton in game week 1, 4 against Spurs, and then 3 against Bournemouth after being 2-0 up. What a game that was. I can't believe how they threw that away. But it's not something you really associate with a Sean Dyche team being, conceding loads of goals. But they've got a few injuries. Bramthwaite's out. They just don't look good, to be honest with you. And then Villa, they obviously lost to Arsenal in game week 2, but they've won the other 2 games, West Ham away and Leicester away. They look
Good
okay,
wins.
and they looked pretty dangerous against Arsenal, to be fair. What do you reckon?
Everton, they were good in that Bournemouth game. I actually watched that game, and Everton were actually really good. That they had a chance to put the game to bed at 3-0, and right at the end, and they missed. I think Coleman missed such a good opportunity, and the game should have been done. Like Bournemouth were not even in that match at all. Like barely even had a shot, and then one little moment, and all of a sudden, the Everton players almost just like collapsed, and then it felt like Bournemouth were going to score every attack, which they actually technically did because it was 3 goals in like a few minutes. And that result is, if Everton kept that result, I think they go into this game against Villa and they might be quite resolute, but they still maybe lose 2-1 or draw 1-1, and they kind of look a bit better. But they're like, it's Villa away. But that game I think could really come back to bite Everton, Sean Dyche as well. Like maybe just having that sort of one kind of dimensional way to play of just sitting on it is it's just not going to work. So there's no players for Everton I'm really too interested in. Maybe, and this is going to maybe, and I've been there so many times, and he's missed me penalties before. He's been injured for me. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, right? Because he's cheap, he's fit and playing, and but I just don't see Everton doing enough or getting enough goals to even really warrant bringing him in again. I just don't want to get sucked in. So he's the only player I'd maybe even think about. I'm not interested in anyone else. And then with Villa, good team, good coach, like Emery, experience is, it's second full season or whatever it is now. He's good side. Might be interesting to see how they go when Champions League comes in, because they don't have the biggest squad and they don't have that experience in that competition. But as long as Rodgers keeps his place for now and actually starts returning some points, I know he's only 5 mil, but it'd be nice just to get something out of him as an owner. So I think, keep some eyes on Rodgers, keep some eyes on Watkins. See if Onana, if he gets in the box, because he scored a couple of goals this season. Digne, if he's going to keep his place ahead of Maatsen. And then, Emi Martinez in goal. That's someone in my side. So I'm interested to see if I can actually get a clean sheet out of Villa. But I always feel like one of those teams, you think they're going to keep a clean sheet like against Leicester, and then bang, one little moment, and then they still end up winning the game. But they don't. They're not watertight at the back.
Yeah, that was annoying against Leicester.
Oh.
I had Konza, and I thought I was guaranteed for a clean sheet. Nana's started the season very well. 2 goals, massive threat from set pieces. However, I just can't see it lasting, to be honest with you. For me, it's a tough one because Watkins is flagged, but I think he'll be all right. Could we see, maybe not all Watkins getting dropped, but could we see Duran come in and start. He's got 2 goals in 3 games off the bench, 6 million. It is a bit risky, but do you think he's due a start?
I don't know. Maybe if Watkins isn't 100%, then they might do it because they don't want to play Watkins if he's genuinely got an injury, knowing they've got 8 games in the Champions League, and they've got Bayern Munich, and I think Juve, and like they've got some. Don't know, they might have they've definitely got Bayern Munich at home. I think they've got some, and Celtic as well. Like always sort of decent fixtures, and so I think we might see Duran either come in and start if Watkins just isn't 100%, or it could be a case of, all right, let's give him 30 minutes because I think they want to preserve Watkins' minutes for the Champions League. But yeah, he's knocking on the door. It'll be interesting. I think, hopefully it's not in exchange for Rodgers, but he's looked too good this season to drop. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
When a youngster's doing that well, you just got to keep playing him. But yeah, I think he's knocking on the door, but I think it will depend on Watkins' fitness. I think they're looking at it thinking, well, he's coming off the bench and scoring. Let's just keep doing that. He might be one of those types of guys that just comes off the bench and grabs goals.
Yeah. City were after him apparently in the summer. So he's obviously got half decent like pedigree. He's obviously got a name. But yeah, I can't see anything but a Villa win, to be honest. But having said that, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a 0-0. Sean Dyche just, okay, we need to stop conceding. But yeah, I think Villa 2-0.
Yeah.
Next up, Bournemouth-Chelsea. So I think this is going to be an interesting game. I feel like there's going to be goals in this game. Bournemouth obviously just come off the back of beating Everton after being 2-0 down. I think they're a half decent team, to be honest. I know they lost Solanke, who will be a big miss, but I don't mind Bournemouth. I think they play half decent stuff. 2 draws, 1 win so far this season, so they're unbeaten. But can they do it against Chelsea? Chelsea have had an okay start, I'd say. Lost against City, fair enough. Battered Wolves 6-2, and then drew with Palace at home, and they look very, very good going forward. But now Palmer's flagged, but he's been seen in training. Yeah, I can just see goals in this game. I reckon another 2-2. Do you think? Basically, who do you think is nailed out of that Chelsea forward line?
They've got so many players. To be honest, Jackson does. He does well he keeps his place. I think he's actually quite a good pick. When you look at it this season and you just think there's not huge amounts of strikers really kind of, Slanky's he's not had the minutes yet other than the first game. And I think he would have been a perfect pick if he'd been fit the last couple of games. He would have banged goals in, but because he wasn't, you need to think, all right, we'll find what other strikers that are there. And it's kind of hard. And I think Jackson's actually not bad because he's getting chances, and he showed at the end of the last season when he's on a bit of form what he can do. So I think Jackson, obviously Palmer is nailed in that side. So definitely those two. Madeki. I think at the moment for this run, he's actually, he could have had a couple of goals against Palace. He got in some great positions. So I think those 3 right now, they're probably the players I would like, look at having. I think Palmer covers the other 2. So I think you can have just Palmer. So yeah, I'm liking them for Chelsea. But Bournemouth, good side. I've got Semenyo. I think we spoke about him earlier on. And I hope he can get me another return this weekend. And Evan Nilsson was someone I had my eyes on. The striker they signed from Porto as their Solanke replacement. So he might be after a debut goal this weekend and could become quite popular as a forward in sort of game week 6 and 7 when they've got Leicester and Southampton. So going to have a little scout on him. But yeah, Semenyo, I'm going to hope for something from him. I'm also actually keeping tabs on Kepa at 4.5 mil. I do remember times at Chelsea when he did come back into the side, and there was a little period, I don't know if it was last season, the season before, and he was 4.5 mil, and he'd come in and he got some bonus. He gets good save points. I'm actually keeping an eye on him once Bournemouth's fixtures get good again. So probably where I'm at with this game. I'm going to go. I think Chelsea will win now. I'm going to go. I think it's going to be an up and down. I'm going to go 4-2 to Chelsea.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Chelsea are going to play like they did against Wolves, and they're just going to. Yeah. Although Bournemouth's
honestly
quite
feel.
resolute. Yeah.
I feel they're better away from home, to be honest with you. Chelsea.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's only been a few games, but I feel like maybe at home there's a bit of tension. Obviously, new manager. The owners seem a bit hectic, but I feel like away from home they can relax a little bit. But yeah, I think high scoring games. I like Semenyo and Jackson, to be honest with you. If I was wildcarding this week, I'd be bringing both of them into my team. I think Semenyo, you can play this game and bench next game against Liverpool. And yeah, Jackson, I think, is a decent option to go for. I think he's first choice number 9 now. But we'll get a few comments in. So Jamie's in the building. Nice one, Jamie. We've got a question here from Joseph. So I'm tempted to take out Saka on a free with 2 hard away fixtures to Eze and his easier 2 home fixtures. Then Saka back in game week 6 for his easier run. Do you think I should keep Saka or roll transfers? And roll transfers. So do you think you should keep Saka or move to Eze?
You know what? I wouldn't sell Saka going into this game against us because I think he scored in the last 2. Well, scored last season in his fixture at our stadium. Scored in the reverse fixture at the Emirates. The season before, I think they gave it as a Lloris own goal, and I think he got one of the assists. He got a double-digit score. Spurs away over the last couple of years for Arsenal's not been as tough as what it was previously. There will be goals from both teams, I think. We'll go into that fixture next, but I wouldn't sell him for this game. Would I then sell him for the City game? You get to a point where you think you might as well just play him in that one, and then have him ready for that run. I'd keep him for this one. If you're wildcarding in game week 6, I'd then wildcard him back, but sell him in game week 5 for someone else who maybe has a really good fixture. Because City away is a lot tougher than the Spurs away game. Is tough for Arsenal, but he has a strong chance of scoring in that game with the way that we defend. So, unfortunately, I don't want to have to say it, but he's almost like not on the same level of what Kane was doing, but he's almost becoming like what Kane was like when you just knew he was going to score against Arsenal, whether it was a pen, whether it was a header, whether it was whatever it was. Like Saka's become that lately.
Yeah, no, he has. Yeah, he got 2 at the Emirates last year, right? And Son got 2 as well. But I think at home he got 1 as well. But I think I'd make the move, to be honest. I think if you've got if you've got your wild card, I'd make the move. If not, then I'd probably keep. If it was going to maybe someone else, like maybe a Palmer, then I'd definitely make the move. But to an Eze, I'm just not sure if it's worth it if you're going to bring him back in straight away, to be honest with you.
De Bruyne.
Yeah.
De Bruyne. But the other side as well, right, is if he does keep Saka for this game week, he gets to 2 transfers next week, then he can use one of them on Saka to Palmer, if Palmer looks good again against Bournemouth, and then he can just bring Saka back anyway if he really wants him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good idea. We've got Chad here. So any update on Bailey? So no, the last I heard he was flagged, but yeah, no update from me. It's a tough one because they've obviously now sold Diaby. It's looking like a hamstring injury. It's 50% chance of playing. So yeah, for me, I'd be getting him out. I wouldn't be risking him. I don't think you can have a hamstring injury and come back, no matter how heavy it is. I think there's no point risking them sort of injuries. We've got Joseph in again. So thanks for the advice, lads. Taken on board. I will chew on it now. I think I'll probably roll the transfer Yeah, fair enough. And it all depends what you think the score will be. Spurs Arsenal as well. If you think Arsenal are going to struggle without a midfield, then maybe take him out. But if you think Spurs are terrible defending, which they are, then maybe leave him in.
If you're a Spurs fan like us, then sell him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we'll move on to Wolves Newcastle next.
Oh, we'll do the Spurs Arsenal game last.
Yeah, so I feel like that might take a while. So what? I don't think I like Wolves, to be honest. I don't know why. They just feel really irrelevant. And I lived in the West Midlands for like a year, 2 years, and I don't know. I didn't really feel anything from the town, and I was like quite near them. I just don't think they're relevant at all. To be honest, I don't like them. I think they're going to struggle this year. They lost. Okay, they had a tough start, but Arsenal away, Chelsea at home, then Forest away. But yeah, they just haven't looked good. They're conceding goals. They've sold Kilman, which is massive. I think he was so good for them. I think they've switched to a back four now as well. I think they'll play in a back three with Kilman there. Now they've switched to a back four, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't love Wolves. I think Newcastle are gonna win this game. Having said that, Newcastle were terrible against Spurs. I don't know how they won that game, to be honest with you. But yeah, I can see Newcastle winning this one, maybe 2-1. Sam Johnston, though, has come into Wolves. So if Wolves do start performing, potentially he could be an option. But for me, I like the likes of just same old Newcastle, just Isak and Gordon. For me, I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle. What do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah, strong comments on Wolves. I think I've only ever known 2 Wolves fans, so in my life, to be honest, and actually 3, because one of my good mates, partners from the around is a Wolves fan. So yeah, I know what you mean. I think what happened with Wolves was they had the whole Nuno thing, and they were having these Portuguese coaches afterwards, and all these Portuguese players, and the club, the soul of the club, although they come back into the Premier League, almost just disappeared because they just had so many players that were just coming through from Portugal that they almost had like a Portuguese B team, and it was just it just got well out of hand. And then now they just have a squad full of just random players from just everywhere and anywhere. I like Gary O'Neill. I actually really like Gary O'Neill, and I think he's got a lot of potential as a coach, but he's inexperienced, and I think he did really well last season, and Wolves played some good football. But I just don't think, like you were saying, I don't think this season they have great quality. I like that guy in midfield, though. Is it Lamina? I think maybe. The dyes his hair blonde. I don't know if it's Lamina. There's a midfielder that Wolves have got. I can tell you who it is now. I'll check the FPL app.
The one that was at Southampton, is that him?
His name is... I could be completely wrong. He was playing for him last season. He's gone to Bournemouth.
Okay.
This season. Okay, so he's left as a big sell for them. I think he's gone to Bournemouth. Has he?
That does ring a bell, Bournemouth.
Let me have a look. Maybe he's gone to Saudi. He's gone somewhere. He's definitely not at Wolves this season. Here we go. Lamina Wolves. There you go. He's gone to... Oh, okay. No, he is still there.
Maybe it's called something else.
Yeah, so his name's Mario Rene Jr. in FPL.
Oh yeah, Mario Jr.
Is it Andre? Is his name Andre?
No, it's Mario Jr. He's flagged.
Oh, there he is. He's flagged.
Yeah.
Okay, I think he's a decent player.
Yeah.
Every time I've seen him, he's looked good. And so they've got players like him, but they've lost Neto. They've lost Kilman that you mentioned. Sarr's not performing, like he was a few years ago. He's like an FPL legend a couple of years ago. And Yeah, there's this was it A Nori, the fullback? He conned me last season at the end, like big time. Always looks so good on the eye, but never gets the. It got me points in maybe one game. I feel like you're always clutching straws when you pick Wolves players. I'll never forget. I think I was like doubled up on their defense when they looked good a few years ago, like your Kilmans and your Sars, and they just went on a horrible run. And yeah, just like Rue said, they're a team that I would not. I'd not go near right now. Newcastle, again, exactly what Rue said. Isak, Gordon, two players I also sold on wildcard. Probably going to come back to bite me because I think Gordon is so consistently good at 7.5 mil. But I did the wild card so I could get Salah, and I wanted Cole Palmer. Isaac's someone that I think can go on a good run. I think he scores in this game. I think he might even score 2 goals in this game. And I think Wolves win this game. I think Newcastle win this game 2-1, maybe 3-1. As bad as they did look against us, I think Wolves are worse than Newcastle. So I'm going to go 2-1 or 3-1 Wolves. Newcastle. I think Wolves will score. I think Newcastle will score. Good game for Isak and Gordon owners. And I feel a lot of wildcarders are going to be kicking themselves when they're watching that game on Monday night or Tuesday morning, wherever they're watching it in the world. And I'll probably be one of them thinking, God, I should have just been a bit more patient. But Wolves, terrible. We're saying that now. We'll see how that game goes. Sorry, Wolves fans, but
now the people are lovely. I know you're saying people, but the people, they're just so nice up there. To be honest, the people, they don't know if they're classed as Brummies or not, but we'll just say Brummies. They're really nice though, really nice. So next game. You could start, Matt. So North London derby, Tottenham v Arsenal.
So stressful. It's so stressful. I think what's happened.
Good time for us.
Yeah.
In terms of just to watch it.
Yeah, good time to watch it for us here in Oz.
Yeah.
I feel stressed because the last few years it was always so good with Pochettino, and you kind of felt whether it was home or away, we could, we had Kane and Son at their best. We had Dele Alli, and I always felt, okay, it's a derby. Form goes out the window, but I always felt that we had a bit of, solidity at the back. Like I felt like, we weren't all completely gung-ho, and if we needed to defend, we'd defend. And when it was a home game, I always felt confident. Even when we had Mourinho, I felt confident. And we were quite good in one of the games under Conte. But now I love Ange. I like Ange, but I just look at it and think, like, we are going to concede against good sides because both of our fullbacks are basically strikers. And whenever we attack, if we don't score on that attack, like it showed against Newcastle, we could not score, could not finish. We just couldn't put anything away. I know Solanke wasn't there, but chance after chance, ball after ball went across the box. And all it then took for Newcastle to win that game was one pass. And out of form Newcastle, it took them one pass to win that game. With 15 minutes ago, Joseph, who asked about Saka before, it will take Arsenal. They will be able to constantly. Well, they've got no Rice and Ødegaard. That will help us because Ødegaard will be the guy that was putting those balls through. But Jorginho will come in. Yeah. You've got players like Ben White who play on that right side who attack so much as well, but they can also defend. They're just going to be putting, with the way we play in our high line, they're just going to be putting balls through. It's just going to be a foot race between Saka and Udogie and Saka, and I know Van de Ven, he's quick and he might not even be playing. It might be Dragic. It's just going to end up. We just know how it's going to. It's going to be gung ho and end to end, and it's great to watch. But it's all like for the neutral. But it's stressful and like I want to be confident. But even if Arsenal have players out, like we don't care about keeping clean sheets, so we will concede.
We have to score 2.
Yeah, that's 2 or more.
Yeah.
I don't know. FPL wise, if I had any of our players, Son, I'd still play him. I'd still play Porro if I was a Porro owner because he's just having so many shots, and he's the sort of guy that, like, I feel like he's a bit of a big game player. He's got a good mentality, but don't expect a clean sheet. Expect maybe an assist or a goal, which is fine, but don't expect a clean sheet. Arsenal, I'd play Saka, I'd play Havertz, I'd maybe even play one of your Gabriels or Salivas because I still don't think we look good from defensive set plays. Like, I know I'm seeing all these things. Our XC or expected goals conceded is a lot less now. We're not Vicario's not making as many saves, but the problem is he's still making 2 or 3 crucial. We're still so exposed 2 or 3 times a game, and that for a team like Arsenal, they showed it last season in the derby. All it took was, I think they had 3 shots on goal in that first half. Well, took 3 attempts on goal and they all went in. So I'd love to be confident about this game, and I always was under Poch and even under the Mourinho spell, and a little bit of Conte. But I don't know, there's something about this game. It's stressed me out far too much in terms of, like, because I think we will concede, and when you know that we can't. It's not about that we can't defend, because I think we've got players that can defend. Good defenders. Romero shows for Argentina, Van de Ven. It's just because they play the system, and it's scary because we didn't buy anyone in that midfield position. Like, say how Villa bought Onana. That Onana, he's just someone that can just sit there. We need someone, and we need a midfielder. Because Sarr's box to box, Basuma's always box to box. We need a midfielder that's just going to sit there and not go past that D in the centre circle and just stay there. And the problem is, when we attack, every player attacks. It's mayhem, and like it works against your Evertons. That's how you've got to play against Everton. That's how you're going to break down 11 men behind the ball.
Yeah, well, we played Basuma, Maddison, Kulusevski in midfield. That was the 3 in midfield against Everton. I couldn't believe it. Plus 2 wingers.
Yeah, and it worked. And it worked against Newcastle in the second half, in the fact that we had enough chances to win the game. But the problem is, playing that way, we are also losing games ourselves by just giving them one pass to go through. So, tricky one. That's anyway. There's players I mentioned who I'd play in FPL, and score wise, I can't predict a defeat, so I'm going to go with 2-2.
It's always goals, isn't it? Always goals. One thing I'm a bit worried about, I feel like this might be the wrong way to put it, but I feel like we're a little bit. I feel like basically we're almost like where Arsenal were maybe 3 seasons ago. Where I feel like we're a bit naive, to be honest with you. And I feel like Arsenal are now the opposite of that. I feel like Arsenal are now smart, and I feel like them going into the game without Odegaard and Rice, they're going to sit back. I feel like they're going to sit back. And we know, okay, we can break them down if they do sit back, but on the counter, they're going to be dangerous. If it's Trossard, Saka, even Martinelli's got pace, Havertz, I feel like they can hurt us on the counter. So that's one thing I'm actually really, really worried about, that they are going to sit back and just counter. Because, like you said, with Newcastle, all it took was one. It wasn't even a good ball, really. It was a good.
It was Jacob Murphy on the end of it.
Yeah,
Jacob Murphy was on the end of it.
Like it's not like it was a Kevin De Bruyne, like absolute brilliant ball. Like it was just a standard through ball sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it just like completely cut us open. So I'm just worried that Arteta is going to set up very defensively and then just hit us on the counter. Almost like, I don't know if you remember the game, but I want to say it was under Jose. We were at home and we won 2-0.
Oh yeah, the Son goal.
Yeah, and I feel like we just like we're going to win that game. No matter, like from the start, we were going to win that game. They were trying to do stuff that they just weren't good enough to even think about like damaging us. So and we just picked them off nicely and just didn't really even get out of second gear. And I'm a little bit worried they're just going to sit back and just pick us off because they don't have Rice, don't have Odegaard. and they know their defense is solid. So yeah, I'm a bit worried, but at the same time, and to be honest, I don't like playing them first in the season. I always like going to the Emirates first because I think White Lane's just better towards the end of the season when maybe we've got something to play for.
What's left to play for? Yeah.
Yeah,
A
and
bit more
you can go
settled.
there, get a draw at the Emirates, and it's a good result, and you can go back to White Lane and
Done.
normally, I know we haven't done last 2 years, but normally we beat them there. So I don't love playing at White Lane first, but yeah, without Rice and Odegaard, I think we've got to beat them. To be honest with you, I think we've got to get a good result, and yeah, I feel like we have to go there to win. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs.
I love it, mate. Love the result. I love the result. I really hope it comes true.
Yeah.
I completely agree with what you said about. It does feel very similar to when they come to our place, and it was like they just kept trying, and it was just like they come close and they were getting closer and closer, but it just felt like for every chance they missed or opportunity they didn't take, it was like Kane's just going to get the ball and he's just pass it through to Son and we're in on goal every time, and that's what they will do to us. And you can play kind of like that naive kind of football when you are Man City because you've got the results to back it up, you've got the players to back it up, you've got a system, it's completely different. But like at the same time, they know how to keep big games kind of cagey if they need to. And like, yeah, I think you're right. And it's a big game for Ange. I look at it and think, drew to Leicester, should have won, didn't. Beat Everton, easy game. They were terrible. Should have beat Newcastle clearly and didn't. So if we then lose this, you've got 2 defeats, a draw and a win out of 4. We then go to Brentford home, should win, but again, when you start losing results, especially big games like Arsenal, everyone gets a bit nervy. Yeah, everyone gets a bit frustrated, and the good football we've been playing turns to bad football. And we saw last season under Ange, when it's bad, it was shocking at the end. And
so bad,
that's where, and yeah, so bad. But when it was good at the start, it was really good. And then in other patches, and that's because we've kind of only really looked like we've got one kind of way to play. So it's like, if that doesn't work, that's it. And that's why I'm a bit worried this game. It's big for him. It's massive because he either pulls someone out the bag and shows like, look, I'm a Premier League coach. I can coach a win against a top side. Or it's exactly what you said. They pick us off. They win the game comfortably in the end. We miss chances, etc., etc. Maybe we beat Brentford next week, but then we play like Brighton and Man United. Brighton, I think, away maybe. Tricky. Man United away, Old Trafford, a stadium we rarely get anything at. It could get really tough for Ange. This is a huge, huge game for Ange. Yeah, really, really big for him. And yeah, I just think you said it perfectly. Like, it's just exactly what it feels like that was Arsenal were a few years ago. And yeah, I feel like the reason Arsenal were able to kind of get to where they are now, because Spurs have spent money, but we've never gone out and bought a Declan Rice for £100 million. We've never gone out and bought, a player that we really, really want and need. It's always been like 40, 50 million. He might be good in 3 years. So
every time we spent money, they've been so bad. Like literally, like every time we're like, wow, what a signing. Like we spent 60 million, 50 million. They've just
never
been
for
terrible.
The right manager. It's always been players we've signed, right? That it's like when we signed in Ndombele and the Celso, was like good players, but then they sacked the manager that they were signed for.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, did he even want them anyway? And then Mourinho comes in, and then Nuno comes in, and then Conte comes in, and then now Ange comes in. It's kind of like, got to just stick with the manager now, even if we do go on some bad results. And it's tricky. It's a shame because this season we should be on 9 points with the way we've actually played, but we could be on. Hopefully we're on set. Hopefully we just win this game and we just get the win. But yeah, there's just something about the easiness it is to just score against us. Even the Leicester goal in the first game, nothing all game, bang, goal. So, yeah, we'll see, mate. But I like your prediction of 2-1. Let's hope it is. Clean sheet would be nice.
Yeah. God, if we keep a clean sheet, God. I can guarantee that's not going to happen.
Yes.
Anyway. We've got a couple of questions in, then we'll get on to our teams. So we've got a question there from Chad. So on Bailey, 6.4 million sell, replacement thoughts, thinking Garnacho punt or double up Brighton Minter with Pedro. My mid is Salah, Rodgers, Jota, Emil Smith-Rowe and Bailey. Yeah, for me, I'd go double Brighton.
Yeah.
I like Minter. If you can, I think Matoma's just above that, right? 6.5, I think he is. But if you can afford Matona, I prefer him. But yeah, I think Minter's a very good option. Garnacho, he hasn't showed that he's nailed, which is crazy. Which he should be nailed, but he just hasn't showed that for me. What do you reckon, Matt?
I'm having a look now at some picks for him. He's only got 6.4, yeah, so he can't go to Szoboszlai. I was thinking maybe someone like Szoboszlai, who's got
I don't think so.
two returns and 3, and he should have scored for another return against United. He was about 3 yards out and just didn't shoot. So he scrap him off. At 6.4, if you want to go differential, hasn't returned yet this season, but his next few fixtures, Fulham away, Chelsea home, Brentford away and Ipswich home. Don't mind Kudus from West Ham.
Nice.
He was unbelievable against City and he hit the post. I don't know if you saw that shot off the post. It was unreal. But if you kind of want to play it a little bit safer, then yeah, I'll double up with Minter. Don't mind him. Or if you don't have maybe like Semenyo, Smith-Rowe. I think Semenyo, Smith-Rowe, Minter and Kudus are kind of my 4 picks. I would suggest any one of them. And I think you've got a decent option over the next few games.
Yeah. I like that as an option. You've got Rodgers as well to cover Villa if you need to play him. So I'd go double up on the Brighton. Pedro
why not?
And Minter. Yeah. Glenn's got a question here as well. So Saka/Jota to Salah and Rodgers, 2 free transfers, and wildcard in game week 6.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
100%. Salah upgrades on Saka. Okay, Rodgers probably isn't an upgrade on Jota, but like I think you need Salah for the next few games, and you can save your wild card doing that, and you've got 2 free transfers. If you can do it, do it, because Salah's better than Jota, Saka's better than Rodgers, but Salah's guaranteed minutes.
Yeah. No, yeah, same. If you can afford Minter instead, because we'll see 5.5. So if you can afford him, I'd go for him instead. But yeah, Rodgers is fine. Just to get Salah, I think it's worth it, to be honest. Cool. So we're going to get up Matt's team. If you have just joined in, because we've got a few new watchers, please make sure you do like the stream. It's completely free. So it doesn't cost you anything and it helps out the channel a lot. We'll get up Matt's team. Hopefully I've got this right.
Of course, on the Fantasy Football Hub.
Yeah, so I just put your
It's not a bad rating, that.
Yeah, so you got a 94. I haven't optimized it, but yeah, let me know what you want me to do, Matt.
All right, so if you could, so this is my team. So it's got 94% for the team, 92% for the week. Can you put in? Can you optimize it? Actually, optimize it.
So I think it. Yeah, I think it is. It's optimized. Yeah. So
is
no
that
changes.
The optimal.
Yeah, because Smith-Rowe's 4.5 points, and then all your midfield is higher than that expected points.
Oh God, I'm actually just looking at my team now, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to bench one of Smith-Rowe on Muniz. It's annoying because I was assuming Muniz was actually gonna be a starter for me with Smith Rowe. But I don't want to bench Semenyo because I think there's points in there. Maybe swap Muniz for Smith Rowe. I just think a goal from Smith Rowe is a bit more costly than a goal from Muniz, and that hurt me in game week 2. So maybe do that. And then can you do Gabriel transfer out? And then let's do Robertson in. He's at the top. Pick Robertson in.
Yeah, so these are your AI transfer suggestions for taking out Gabriel.
Yeah, do Robertson 5.5 predicted. Okay.
You got exact money for that as well.
Yeah. The other idea would be, but he was pictured in training, but if Palmer was genuinely injured, the other option would be Palmer out, Eze in, because Eze's got 7.2 predicted points there. And then keep Gabriel. So bring Eze in and then keep Gabriel.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
So
that would be the other
Palmer.
option. Yeah, but if he's injured, or I could technically bench him and then play Muniz anyway. But
yeah, that's true.
It's annoying because Muniz will score, won't he? This is the week he scores, but he's going to be on all our benches, or everyone's going to sell him. And I just look at it and think I'd rather bench Muniz than Smith Rowe. But if Muniz scores and Smith Rowe doesn't, then I would have had Muniz, João Pedro, and Smith Rowe goals all on my bench 3 weeks in a row, and it would just be. And that's where I'm at the moment. That's kind of what that team on screen's probably going to end up. Not obviously Palmer will be there for Eze if Palmer's fully fit, which I think he is. So it's not bad. Like I'm happy with it. It's the only players I was saying before is like Eze and maybe not doing Minter for Semenyo, but I'm also kind of quietly confident about Semenyo.
Yeah. No, I think Chelsea not the best defensively, so yeah, I wouldn't say that's a bad player to play, and it means you don't have to double up on Fulham, which I think is not the best thing to do. I think West Ham
Nedved was a fraud though. I brought Ned Ledley guy in the Villa, and then he doesn't start, and I was like, God, that's what you get though when you pick a 4 millioner. You kind of think you should just pick whatever one starts every week, and I gambled, but you never know. He might find his way into the lineup if Conte's injured.
Yeah, no, that's true. We'll run this through the AI transfers as well. Are you pretty set on Haaland captain? Why this loads?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it on him now. I messed up with the Palmer one, and I'm just thinking, unless he goes through a spell of not scoring goals or has a little bit of a knock, I ain't going to make a change. There you go. So it's actually saying the same transfer that I'm looking at doing.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so it's showing so Robertson over the next 2 is better for predicted points, and then it goes back to Gabriel. So yeah, interesting. Potentially a hard one though, because obviously you've used your wild card now, so you're kind of banking on Robertson delivering over the next 2. But with them, it's Arsenal's 2 toughest away games. I know you could say Anfield is obviously up there as well, but it's Arsenal's toughest 2 away games, I feel like. So, that's interesting to see that it's
so bad defending set pieces. Spurs are like, it'd be typical. It'd be typical, but we'll see. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to wait for injury news. May even roll, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll try and get up my team. So, I guess, are you worried about the? Yeah, are you worried about the game week 6 wildcard? Because obviously you've played your wildcard now, so people in game week 6 are basically going to load up on Brentford, load up on Arsenal,
True.
And you're not going to be able to, I guess, keep up with that. Are you worried about that? Have you got a plan for that?
No, I'd like to say I do, but I don't, mate. You know what it is?
Yeah.
I think for Brentford, having Cole Palmer in there helps me get to Saka or Mbeumo from Brentford quite easily. So there's a plan to have one of them if I need it. As for other Arsenal players, I think if I make a transfer this week, save 2 for next week, which is easier said than done. But if I'm able to do that for game week 6 then gives me the opportunity if I want to bring in Mbeumo and bring back an Arsenal player in defence. I'm only really worried about, with Arsenal, it's only really the defenders. Saka doesn't scare me in terms of people are never going to captain him. And I think I just think there's so many good midfielders in the game this season that, I think with the Champions League, it might play a part as well. I just don't think he's going to be, Havertz maybe every now and then, but I think it's really just those defenders for Arsenal. If people are doubling up on Arsenal's defence and they're keeping clean sheets for fun, then it'll be like, okay, how can I get 2 of these in? I think I've got enough good attackers with like Semenyo, Palmer, Salah in there to be able to kind of cover those attacking threats. And then when Mbeumo, I think at his price point, there's a way of getting him in quite easily. There isn't really anyone else from Brentford I'd be that fussed about. So, I wouldn't say I've got a huge plan, but like I'll definitely be bringing back another Brentford defender and then, another Arsenal defender in game week 6 if I make that Robertson move, and then working out, okay, do I need Mbeumo or not? So, yeah, tricky one, mate. But yeah, I think I'll find plans to bring in those sort of players. I'm not sure if there's sort of any other teams that kind of concern me fixture-wise. I think I'm pretty happy with the fixtures of the other players that I've got.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that's one of the main reasons why I want to wait for my wild card. Like this is my team, so there's obviously some problems. Defense is probably a big problem. Goalkeeper is a problem. Muniz is probably a problem, and the bench is the problem. So not many, but obviously Salah and Haaland are bailing me out every week. Is the gist of it. 2 hat-tricks for Haaland. Salah's been doing as good as him. He's got the same points as him, even though he scored less goals, which goes to show why I always think if you can, captain a midfielder, if you can. I think Haaland breaks that, but if you can, I think captain the midfielder just gets you them extra points, especially in like a double game week and stuff like that. But yeah, so 91% team rating, 68.7%, 68.7 predicted points, 91 game week rating, and I got 1.3 million in the bank. I'm going to hand this over to you, Matt. What would you do?
Yeah, it's a good team. Like, I know you said there's problems, but like Henderson at home to Leicester, you'll take that this week. Robinson, you'll take. Concert, if he's fit, is a good pick, but you just got to hope he's fit to play. It's just a shame you don't have a better defender maybe than Pinnock. Burn, you take at Wolves. Your midfield's good. Gordon's got big potential this week. So does Isak. So like they're 2 I'd actually be pretty excited about because a lot of people are starting to shift them out, especially Gordon. So with this team, you got 1 transfer, yeah?
Yeah.
So if you add Boston and Cuckoo's price,
6.3. 6.2.
6.2.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's gone down a lot. So you got 7.5 mil.
Yeah.
I would do one of 2 things this team. I would, because you're wild carding in game week 6 anyway. I would either go Nkunku to Luis Diaz.
Okay. I was
For this
thinking
game
about it. 0.1 million short.
0.1 short. Okay.
So annoying.
Scrap that off. All right, let's see who else we can find. Who were the other ones I mentioned?
So you got Bowen here, AI.
Bowen won't fit though.
But from what I'm thinking is a Matoma.
Oh yeah, Matoma actually. Yeah, Matoma.
So I don't have any Brighton cover really. I think I can afford Bowen. It's just because Diaz is 7.6.
It's gone up. Okay. I think Matoma's a better pick this week, though, especially because you're wildcarding in 6 anyway.
Yeah, and I don't have any Brighton.
So I like Matoma, and then you'd go 3-5-2. But the problem with that is then you're benching a player like Muniz, and then your biggest problem isn't really your attack or midfield right now; it's your defense.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like
I'd probably bench
the risk
Rodgers,
reward.
I think.
Yeah, you'd probably have to bench Rodgers, and then you've got 4 players that are all key goal scorers for their teams. That actually looks really nice. If Conte was fully fit, you'd be sorted this weekend, and that'd be a really nice team.
Yeah.
But the problem now is you can.
I was going to say, let's say Konza isn't fit.
Then what you do? Well, the thing is now is like you either just think throw Pinnock in there and hope you get 1 or 2 points, or a miracle, because that's what you're going to need. Because if you put Matoma in, and you bench Rodgers, you've got to look at it and think, okay, how much is Matoma going to outscore Rodgers this week? Matoma might get, say he does really well, gets 2 goals, 15 points, and Rodgers gets a 3-pointer at home. It's 12-point difference, and then Pinnock gets -1, so it's kind of like an 11-point gain. What defenders are out there right now that you could do a swap with that you'd feel confident with? Digne, straight swap.
I think it has to
be. And then he gets dropped for Matson. That would just be awful.
Yeah.
You've got money in the bank. Sorry, you've got 1.3 in the bank. So for a defender,
I think it has. Have I got the money? I don't think I've got the money, but it has to be Liverpool or Brighton. I think whatever my chance of this week is, it has to be Liverpool.
1.3.
Yeah, so I've got 5.8, which I can go Canate, but
it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, I haven't thought about him, to be honest.
Yeah,
I could even go Barco. Because I know I'm going to wildcard, I could. It's saying Romero, but I'm not bringing in Romero
this week. Although he did score against Arsenal in the home game last year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He scored. And he nearly had a second. He nearly had a second. He hit the bar, I think.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. So 5.3 million. Canate is an option, but it's just not. Lewis Dunk.
Munoz.
Yeah, who did you say again? Oh, Estupinan. He's got to play, surely.
If Estupinan is fit and ready to go, because he wouldn't have gone on international duty, I'm assuming, then, and he gets to start, he could be one of those random picks, and everyone's like, oh, is he essential now? But again, it's just whether he starts. Because he hasn't been, he's only played 18 minutes in the first couple of games, so.
Yeah. It's a tough one. We'll put it through AI, see what AI reckons. But for me, I definitely want a Liverpool or Brighton player. I can do Nkunku to... Oh, yeah, no, I can't do Diaz, can I? But I can do Nkunku to Matoma. But
oh, Chris Wood.
I don't know about that one. Yeah, I'm going to say don't recommend Chris Wood. Let's see what comes up next. Remember when I recommended him last season and he scored 2?
Yeah. He's done well this season.
See, this is another thing in my head.
That's not a bad move. That's a pretty obvious move as well.
It's just in my head. It's
I'd
a bit
go
like...
Welbeck, mate. I'd go Welbeck.
Really?
Let's do it. No. All right, I think Pedro's your safe bet because a lot of teams have him and he's potentially still on pens. So he's your safety pick. It depends. Do you want to go sort of like keep with the pack mentality, or do you want to try and do something outside the box? If you do, then you go Matoma, Welbeck, those sorts of guys.
Yeah, it's annoying though because, like you said, that's not my problem this week. It's the midfield and forwards, is it? But it's I have to. That's who scores the most points. Do you know what I mean? Like midfield and forwards are what scores the points. So it's hard to not I guess bring in a Brighton midfielder or forward for me, especially with Ipswich.
What's the worst damage that Pinnock's going to do if he has to play with a Konsa? The worst damage he's probably going to do is if he gets booked and it's 4 goals shipped and he gets booked. So then you have your minus
-1.
-1, and you might So you have -1. That's the worst damage. Look, if he gets an own goal, he gets sent off. Like, it's awful. But like the worst damage you might get out of him, I would say this weekend's either a -1 or a 0. Worst case scenario. So will your midfield picks then, score enough to beat a defender that you're going to bring in along with your current midfield?
Yeah. It's a tough one. Just seems a bit boring bringing in a defender.
I know it is.
Cool. So we'll get our last few comments in before we head off. So we've got Mustafa. Would you have Solanke or Jackson for game week 6 wildcard? For me,
I'm checking fixtures now.
It's a tough one because I think Son's going to be on pens, right? And obviously Palmer's on pens. So you're not picking one or the other because of pens. Jackson, I think he's going to start. I think Solanke, do you know he's going to start? I think he will start.
I reckon Solanke. I'm looking at the fixtures and Chelsea have back-to-back home games, Brighton and Forest. They've got Liverpool away, Newcastle home, United away, Arsenal. And we've got quite a few pretty kind of like fixtures where, I think once Solanke gets up and running fully fit, I reckon he's just more clinical than Jackson. I'd say.
Yeah. Okay.
I reckon Solanke.
Yeah. It's hard to like say a player that's injured for me.
Yeah, true. That's true.
And I thought he was going to be back for this game, but I don't know if he is now.
Just seen on the app, he's 50%. I'm really annoyed if he's not back this week. So he's been out, comes in, he's had a long enough rest. It's obviously a lot worse than what they're making out, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then I think another question from Mustafa is probably splitting us at the minute. So Pedro or Welbeck? I'm Pedro. I think Pens. I think the fact that he's playing number 9, whereas Welbeck, okay, he's playing up front, but probably drifts wide a little bit more than Pedro. For me, Pedro.
Yeah, I think overall Pedro probably is the better pick. So I'll be honest, say Pedro is better pick, especially if he's got pens. I don't mind a double up if you're on a wild card and just having them both up there. And it gives you that coverage, so then you get both of the goal scorers that have looked good this season.
Cool. Thanks for coming on, Matt. Everyone that's still watching, go check out Matt's channel. So at FPL Matt Day on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram.
Every platform under the sun now.
It's too many. But I'll link the channel in the description. Is there anything you want to add for the game week, Matt?
Non-FPL, I hope Spurs get a result. Fingers crossed. FPL, good luck for managers that aren't on wildcards, because fair play for the ones that are keeping it and sticking with their guns. There's no right or wrong time to wildcard, but I think for the ones that aren't, good luck. I hope you actually end up having a good week. So fingers crossed. And if I was on a wild card, I'd probably have Pedro right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just going to drop Matt's channel, so if everyone can go subscribe. I'm sure you probably already are, but I've dropped it in there, the link. Thanks everyone for watching. Like and subscribe if you're not already doing so. Keep an eye out for some upcoming videos. So I'm actually going to be in Asia for 3 months, so I'm not too sure how many videos are going to be coming out and what sort of videos are going to be coming out. You might be getting some travel content, so subscribe for some travel content potentially. Good luck for the game week, and I'll be posting my team on X, so follow me on there, FPL Rue. Follow FPL Matt Day as well. Does some good. They're called threads on Twitter. threads?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
actually
cool.
stopped doing the threads this season. So
Okay.
yeah, I did all the threads. Might have done one at the start of the season. I'll have to check. I can't remember if I did one for the start of the season or not. I don't think I did. Now I decided, like, look, I was doing them weekly, like your weekly picks and your weekly, your season picks and your Champions League threads, and they were going good. They'd get good traction. They'd get good retweets, but it's one of those things. You keep doing it and you keep it up, you probably get quite a bit out of it. I just decided there's so many platforms, and I was like, I've got to work out which ones do I want to grow. And I was like, YouTube's the one I want to grow more. So I put that to the top, and then I think Instagram's always been one I've liked. So I've kind of put Instagram kind of in that second, with TikTok coming in around third, and then I put X last. And I just thought the threads were great, the interactions on there were great, but I love the YouTube a lot more. And I just thought, yeah, and I know people like the threads, and they were fun to do, but the time that went into them, I was like, I could put that into a 10-minute video or a 5-minute short. So yeah, they're gone, mate, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I started to do Spurs. I'm going to do Spurs predictions instead. Try and connect with a few more Spurs fans. So
yeah, nice.
I'll be throwing out a prediction on Saturday. So for managers that didn't watch the stream, it will be the score I said in this stream. So
no, you're going to change by then.
Yeah, I might go 2-1.
Yeah. All right, cool. Good luck for the game week, everyone. Make sure you go subscribe to Matt. I'll put the link in the description and in the comments. And yeah, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you
Yo,
Spurs.
FPL Roo, bringing you the stats, top picks, hot tips, all the league facts. They say Roo rock, that's all the flow. Subscribe, hit the bell. Welcome to the show.
That was good, mate.